we're joined by, we have the great pleasure, I think the orchestra has the great pleasure of being joined by Branford Marsalis, who will be our saxophone soloist for the week. And he and Andre Barreco have selected a couple of really interesting, contrasting pieces for saxophone and orchestra. The first is a saxophone concerto by the Russian composer Alexander Glazunov. And you know, what you'll hear in this piece is Glazunov really connecting with the Russian Romantic tradition. In other words, he's placing himself in a lineage that goes back through Rachmaninoff to Tchaikovsky and these great Russian Romantic composers. And that's really what comes out. It's extremely melodic music, touched with a little bit of melancholy. And the saxophone is really a perfect exponent, a perfect instrument to give voice to that sort of emotional world inhabited by Glazunov's piece. Then, to contrast, we have a wonderful piece from the late 1920s by a composer, Central European composer, Erwin Schulhoff. And this is his Hot Sonata for alto saxophone and originally piano, but in this case orchestra. And what Schulhoff is doing in the Hot Sonata is really connecting with jazz, which was sort of sweeping Europe at the time. And Schulhoff did this in many of his pieces, tried to sort of create a fusion between classical music and jazz and import jazz elements into the sort of European classical tradition. But I think this represents his most successful foray into that area of work. And so with the Schulhoff piece, we have this fascinating concerto from the late 1920s influenced by jazz. With the Glazunov, we have this beautiful concerto coming out of the Russian Romantic tradition, and of course the thing that connects both of them is the saxophone, and we're very lucky to have Branford Marsalis with the New York Philharmonic to perform this repertoire. It's not often that an orchestra has a saxophone soloist on a major concert like this, just because there isn't a lot of repertoire. We often have pianists and violinists, but I think this will be a rare treat to hear two wonderful and rarely performed works played with unparalleled virtuosity and accomplishment.